Hello, my friends, and welcome to another D&D Primer with me, Notorious BLT. So, there's a couple things that I want to talk to you guys about regarding things that are going to be happening with the D&D game that's coming up, our Curse of Strahd game. Um, so, let's talk about one of the first things. I have a little list here, which may not be exactly in the order that I'd like, but that's okay. We're going to go down and just talk about a couple of things. So, let's talk about role-playing options. So, if you are uncomfortable with role playing as your character, and by that I mean like speaking as them, or like changing your voice or whatever, and just to say you don't have to, like make a silly voice or talking like, oh, thou hast offended me, sir. Like that's not a thing. D&D tends to use the speech patterns and vernacular of the time in which it is being played, and by the time in which it is being played, I mean now, like our time. So let's talk about the RP stuff. So you don't have to talk as your character. If you want to speak as your character, one of the options is if you go down here where it says as, I believe you can, well, let me make sure you can actually see the mouse cursor here. Yep, you can see it. All right, sweet. So if you go down here, you should be able to see that it says Garth Ulrich, or Ulrich, which is Nick's character. Now, I could go as any of the other characters, or just as this account, which is Camera M, which is the cameraman. So I could do that, and if I say hi, it comes off as Camera M. Okay. Now if I go to Garth Ulrich and I say greetings, it comes off as if it's from Garth, and he puts a little icon right there. Okay, like so that it looks like him. And if I'm right, this image actually comes from your character's portrait that you put in your character sheet. So let's talk about a couple other things that you can do in terms of the chat, since we're already using the chat. If you want to whisper something to me, say you can go /W GM, and it gives you like a little completion thing, so you can see it's Coach in Blue, Garth, blah blah blah. But we're gonna do GM. You say like this scares me, but I'm trying to hide it from the group. And it'll send a message from you to me, and nobody else will see it. That will, like I said, that only I can see. So now something else you can do is if you want to say like, describe something you're doing, you can go /EM, which is short for emote, and then let's see, raises his, well actually that should be a lowercase r, raises his glaive, I think it's like glaive? Glaive? Glaive, which did spell it wrong, that's fine. Raises glaive menacingly. So it'll say Garth Ulrich raises his glaive menacingly. What other commands are there? Let me just take a... Oh, right. Okay, so then there's also OOC, which is out of character. There's a couple ways to do things out of character. I mean, if you guys want, you can just, like, say things to me out of character. That's fine. Doesn't really matter. And normally we can tell. Like, and just so to make it clear, there's no, like, penalties or anything for if you say something out of character when it should be in character. Like, I'm not that kind of person, okay? This is not, like, this is where we're not in an acting school or something. Let's see. Out of character. I'm hungry. BRB. So then it comes back and it puts you, even though I have Garth selected, it puts you as the actual player name, which in this case is Camera M. And I don't think there's anything else that we really need to cover in terms of the chat. But let's talk about just roleplay in general. So when you guys are roleplaying, I don't think I really need to mention any of this, but I'm just going to say a lot of it for your own references, etc. When you are roleplaying, there's a couple of things that my friends and I have found that help, and some of this comes from like some of their theater backgrounds, etc. If you want, sometimes like putting on an accent can help. Like if you start talking in a Russian accent or like a like a Spanish accent, that kind of thing, that can help to like get you in the mindset of the character and also make everybody understand that you are in character when you speak that way. And that you don't actually need to do that all the time. It's just more of a reference thing. Okay. Now, that being said, when I'm talking about roleplay, you don't have to... How can I put this? You don't always have to be, like, in the moment of your character. Basically, what it comes down to is just think about how this person that you are playing would react to things, and that's pretty much it. So let's talk about some more game stuff, I think. Oh, let's talk about, these are all the different characters, okay? Just this account has access to all of them, just because I found that to be a little easier. So let's move Garth over this way. So now when you click on them, notice that these little bubbles show up. I think you guys saw these last time, but I don't think they had anything filled in, or maybe they did. So the way I've set this up is that these 3 bubbles are linked to your character sheet. This number in the red is your speed, so your speed in feet. This number in the green is your current hit points, and this number in the blue is your armor class. So now here's the cool thing. Say you take damage, and you're like, oh crap, I've been damaged. Say Nick takes 5 points of damage. You can click on the health, click in here, and then put -5, enter. And it actually puts it down to 8, and it also puts your HP bar down just a little bit. Now, I don't believe it actually modifies it on your... Yeah, it doesn't modify it on here, and that's okay. But we'll just put this back up to 13. You could also do this in here, and it would be fine. What was I going to do here? Oh, right. We were going to talk about some of the stuff in-game. So let me just set up something really quick for us. So the other thing is, remember how before I had you guys roll initiative, and then you would... roll in the chat, and then I would say, I would just go and kind of mark everything down myself. Well, now, what we can do is, when you are going to be rolling initiative, select your token, just left-click on it, and then go to your character sheet, and click initiative. And it puts your initiative into this little hoobajoo here, this little turn order thingy. Really, really useful, so we can all see who's going when, etc., and so on. So, there's that. What else? Let's talk about... We did initiative, we did... Oh! One thing I want you guys to go do is take your music, your master music volume, and put it really, really low. The reason I want you to put it really, really low is because I have a bunch of music and sound effects and stuff that I can play during the game, and this is something else I wanted to touch on. If any of you, because I know there are people out there that, like, they can't really listen to somebody else while music is playing, or while a sound effect is playing, or something like that. So if you are one of those people, please tell me, and I will just straight up not be playing any music, all right? But if you guys are all cool with having music, just lower this, because I'm going to, like, before we actually start the stream, I'm going to play a small piece of music, and then you guys can push this up to wherever you find comfortable, okay? So let's see, music and sound. Oh, the name. Okay, so nameplates. Something I'd also like you all to do is change your display names to the following format. Put, like, so do character name, player name. Just like that. So in this case, it would be, if I was, just doing this for Nick, then it would be, Garth Ulrich. And you don't have to put your full name, you can just put the first name. And then Nick B. And then once we save the name, now it displays that way. So, because what I'm going to do is I'm also going to have, most likely I'll have these displaying your portraits. So you may also want to change your account portraits to match your characters. So for this one, it was Camera M. Okay. Just so that if people watch, they'll have an easier time telling who's who. We talked about RP options, chat, initiative, editing HP on tokens. Let's talk about some more of this gameplay stuff. So right now, Nick is in a place that's really, really friggin' dark. So how does he deal with that? Well, how he deals with that is, as the GM... Oh, that was actually one thing I forgot. Whoops. So if you want to... You can also whisper things to other players. And you can either type in the player name or the character name. In this case, it's probably going to be easier to type in the character name. So let's see, whisper Garth. Yeah, so Garth. Yeah, and it thankfully has a thing where it'll, like, figure out what it is you're trying to type. So what was I saying here? Right. Nick is a human and can't see in the dark. It is currently very, very dark. Let's move Nick over just a little bit. This is a new feature. Well, a new feature for you guys. I've seen this in action before, and I just wanted to give you a primer as to how it works or what it looks like. So Nick can't see anything unless he lights a torch. Which, did I move the torch? Did I not move the torch? Is the torch valid? Does it work? Does it now work because I'm on the wrong account? That may be it. Nope, there it goes. Okay. So I have given Nick a torch, which he can use. He can carry with him. So you can move this little torch with you. All right, and this is using what's called the dynamic lighting of the game. So I made this little building over here that you can probably see a tiny bit of. We're going to have Nick try to move in and open the door. So, Nick would say, I'm going to move up and open the door. I'm going to take the torch with me. And I say, okay, I want to go over to, where is it? This, and move this out of the way. Okay. So now Nick can see through the door. So then he moves in. And he's like, oh, okay, I put way too many torches out there. That's fine. And he takes his torch with him, and now he can see if there's like a small little opening here, and there's another door up here. Maybe you can't really see the door as much. Whoops, I did not mean to move that torch that way. But you can see there's another door here, and he says, okay, I want to open the door. So I go over here to my GM screen, and I pull the door open. And now Nick can see in this room. Now, the nice thing is, I've set it up so that Nick cannot actually walk through walls. And also so that his sight only updates when he drops his token. So there's no, like, I can't move him around here and be like, oh, look at all the stuff I can see. It is only when he drops the token. I've also set up things for lanterns, and Waji, if you've got your your dancing lights, I have a setup for that as well. So now you can also move. Where is Nick's? Okay, there's his torch. If say you want to move both of these tokens at once, you can, or both of these. It's actually a drawing. I believe you can do both at once. Yes, there you go. So now Nick is moving with his torch. The only problem is you have to remember that the torch does not snap to the grid, whereas Nick does. So like your tokens will snap to the grid, the torch will not. So just be cognizant of that when you're moving around. Why is Nick moving so strangely? Oh, because of the torch. Well, poop. That's fine. All right. So I've got a bunch of resources for that. So whenever you guys use your lighting stuff, that's fine. Let me change over to another. Let's just go back to the landing page. How's that? So now you guys kind of understand how the dynamic lighting works. And some of you guys do have things like dark vision, and that will also be taken into account. Like, if I'm right, Waji has dark vision, and so does Blue. Let's see. A couple of you guys were asking me about food and gear, and I will get to that in just a moment, because I just realized it's probably better to talk about the stuff up here first, these player resources. So you don't have to do this now. We can do this just prior to starting the stream, or if you guys want, we can do this after kind of the intro to the adventure. I've got a handout here for all you players that lists all the items that are in the adventuring gear section of the player's handbook, which is like one of the main books for D&D. It tells you how, what the thing is, how much it costs. It doesn't give you a huge explanation of what all these things are, because a lot of them are fairly self-explanatory. Like a whetstone is used for sharpening stuff, water skin is for holding water, etc. And a lot of you guys already have a lot of this stuff on you. So there's that. And we'll get into that again in just a moment. We also have the common coin exchange rate. So this is a chart that's actually in the player's handbook, but I wanted to put it in here to make it easier for everybody. And it tells you how many pieces of each coin are worth. I'm saying this wrong. So like in this case, 1 platinum piece is worth 1 platinum piece. 1 platinum piece is worth 10 gold pieces. 1 platinum piece is worth 20 electrum pieces. Screw electrum. Electrum is the weirdest one. Don't worry too much about it, okay? You guys don't need to worry about electrum when you're buying stuff right now. You only need to worry about it if you find some electrum pieces. And then 1 platinum piece is worth 100 silver, and 1 platinum piece is worth 1,000 copper. So that's kind of how you read this thing. So like 1 copper is worth 1 copper. It's also worth 1/10 of a silver, or 1/50th of an electrum, or 1/100th of a gold piece, or 1/1000th of a platinum piece. Or you could also read it as 1 silver piece is worth 10 copper, that kind of thing. So that's that. The house rules document. This is just kind of for transparency's sake. The critical stuff you guys don't really need to worry about unless you want to just like understand how it is that I do criticals, because all of your attacks should already automatically calculate criticals if they're capable of getting a critical hit. And then your hit points. Basically what this means is that when you guys level up, there is a threshold there's a number you cannot go below when you're rolling your hit points, okay? Depending on what kind of hit die you have. Passive perception scores. This is for me and for you guys. This just gives everybody's passive perception scores. And this huge document that I'm sorry the formatting got a little weird. This is what happens when you try to copy things from a Google Doc into into one of these little handouts. So this tells you all the different things you can do in combat. So like you can move up to your distance, up to your speed. You can take an action, you can take a bonus action if it's available, and you can take a reaction if it's applicable. Now, reactions are usually done as things off your turn, but sometimes they also happen on your turn. Strangely, sometimes they can happen on your turn. Like if you move up to something that has a thing that says, I can move away when you get close to me, and then it tries to move away, you can use your reaction to hit it, that kind of thing. Then we've got the actions in combat, which is most of all these things. So like you've got attack, dash, disengage, dodge, help, hide, ready, search, use an object. Use an object is a weird one, which we'll get into if it really comes up to it. And then special, which is casting spells. This is something I need to talk about for you spellcasters. One thing that I did incorrectly in our one shot is that if you cast a spell that takes a bonus action, you can only then cast a cantrip that takes an action. So you can't cast like you could say cast healing word and then cast vicious mockery, or healing word and then I forget what the name of the spell is. There's like a sacred flame. That's the one. You could do that, or you could cast sacred flame and then cast healing word, something like that. And for Waji, I forget what your special. I forget what some of your spells actions are, but we can get into that if it comes down to it. Let's see. Oh, and one thing about movement. I think I said this during the one shot, but I want to make sure that everybody understands. And I put it here as well. So if you say, well, as the example, we can just read this. You can move up to your speed. Your movement may be broken up however you choose. For example, if you have 2 attacks and a speed of 30, you could move 10 feet, attack, move another 10 feet, make your second attack, and then move another 10 feet. So your movement can be broken up basically any way you choose. That's it for this. I also gave you guys a travel pace thing because you are going to be traveling in a somewhat open world. So just like the pace, you choose your pace, which is fast, normal, or slow, and it tells you how far you can move in a minute, an hour, and a day, going at that pace. And then the benefits or penalties you get. So like if you move fast, you get a minus on your passive perception checks for detecting somebody that's trying to ambush you, that kind of thing. And then if you're moving slow, you are capable of using stealth to avoid encounters, that kind of thing. And you also get enhanced foraging if you so choose to forage. And the normal speed is just you move at your normal pace and there's no benefit or penalty. The other thing is I wanted to make sure that you all had your spell options as clear as possible. So I have gone through the trouble of taking all of the spells for every class aside from Sorcerer, because Sorcerer and Wizard are basically the same. I don't think there's actually any spell differences between Sorcerer and Wizard. But anyway, so every spell that's in here is from either the Player's Handbook, which is the base player's book, or this other book called Xanathar's Guide to Everything, which is just a supplemental book, but all the spells from there are in here. And so if you guys have any questions about the different spells, and that's only if you can cast spells. If you can't cast spells, I don't know why you'd be asking me about the spells that are in here. But in any case, if you want to ask me about any of the spells that are in here, please go ahead. But some of them are fairly self-explanatory, or things that you've used before, such as Hunter's Mark, etc. Okay. So back to the Adventurer's Gear. Some of you guys were asking me about, have been asking me in Discord about, like survival items, like food and tents and bedrolls, etc. Yes, those will be tracked. Sometimes it will matter a lot. Sometimes it will not. What I mean by that, I was asked, how important is a bedroll? And I asked the question back, which was, how important is a bedroll to your character? Like, does your character care about sleeping on something soft, or can they fall asleep almost anywhere? It's really up to you in that case. Food, on the other hand, not so much up to you. Everybody needs to eat, but what is up to you is how does your character feel comfortable with the idea of only foraging for food, or are they also would they rather have like a source of food at hand, like buying rations? And the way that usually works is you drink one ration. You eat one ration and drink. I think it's 1 pound of water. Yeah, 1 pound of water every day. So one ration and one like I guess pound charge uh, from your water skin does you for the day. You don't need to eat or drink anything else. So if you want to buy food, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, if you want to forage, that's fine. Just kind of think about that stuff a little bit. And as far as dealing with inclement weather, tents are fairly expensive. If I remember right, where is the tent? Yeah, oh, no, they're not. They're not that expensive. They just weigh a lot. So if you guys want to buy tents, that's fine. Let's see. Also, like healers kits, etc. There's a lot of stuff in here that you can look at, and like I said, a lot of it's pretty self-explanatory. If you have questions about the mechanics, just ask me. If you can't find it in the beginner's rules document that I sent you guys some time ago. The other thing I want to mention, in the one shot, you guys did really, really, really well. But one thing that I want to make very clear is that that's not always how things are going to go. Sometimes you may need to run away. And that's okay. There is no shame in running, because that means you get to live another day. I just want to put that out there as kind of an extra little thing. And actually, there's one more thing that I wanted to try to cover. If you'll give me a second, because I didn't remember that I was going to do this. Let's just take, I don't know. Let's take this. Okay, let's go back to our previous example of the random battle map. So, since I have an account that actually functions with all the paid goodies, there's also this thing called Advanced Fog of War. So Nick moves up here, and he's like, wait a minute, what the heck? Am I on the wrong I'm on the wrong layer. It figures. Token layer. There we go. Okay, so Nick's like, oh god, there's an acolyte in here, which is what this guy is. He's just, it's just a dude, okay? And then Nick's like, I'm gonna run out and tell everybody. He should probably take his torch with him, huh? So Nick runs out here. He can't see the acolyte anymore, so now he has no idea where it is. This is what's called Advanced Fog of War. So before we just had the basic Fog of War, now we have the advanced stuff. So like, Nick can move around and see all this stuff over here. But when he... Oh, those are... Don't mind this. Those are the doors. I know it doesn't look like a door. It looks like an invisible thing, but hey. Let me just give you your torch back. So Nick can see kind of grayed out these areas over here. But he can't see anything that's in there. Okay? So that's just how Advanced Fog of War works. So like, don't panic if you see something kind of disappear, all right? Is that pretty much all I wanted to talk about? I think it might be. Yeah, I think that's basically all I really wanted to talk about. So I know that some of you guys have picked your various people that you're going to be kind of linked to in terms of role-playing. If you haven't, I would suggest you do it very, very soon because, well, time is running out. We have like a week left until, well, actually less than a week left until things really start. So make sure you do that and tell me who it is that you're picking. I'll probably also have like I'll do a handout here just to get everything all set so that everybody knows who's picking who, etc. I'll probably actually do that today. Yeah, I'll do that today. The other thing I want to try to get done is I'm going to have a list of all the available feats for you guys, because I realize that there's a lot of feats out there that you can find online that are either made by a person who is not associated with the company that owns D&D, which is Wizards of the Coast, or it's playtest material, which we are not using for this because some of the playtested feats are either really bad or really broken. So I will try to get a list of the different feats and a description of what they all do in here. Hopefully soon. I don't know if it's going to be this week. It might be the following week, but it's okay because you guys won't be able to take feats until much later anyhow. But anyway, that's going to be it for this little primer for... Actually, I just realized I forgot something. I just wanted to point out something for you guys. If you have this little option here, this select move option, and you hold down left mouse, you will ping, like that, any area that you do that in. So if you guys want to call attention to something or like point out where you're putting something, this is a good way to do it. So anyway, now that I've put that out there, again, I hope you all got something out of this, or maybe not again, but because I'll probably edit that out. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, that's it. I hope you all got something out of this, and I will hopefully see you soon for some D&D goodness. All right. Bye bye, everybody.